I'm going to a place where there'll be nothing to do but simply walk around heaven all day. When I get to heaven, I'm gonna jump and shout. Nobody will be able to put me out. My mother, she'll be waiting. My father, my three sisters too. We'll get together and walk around heaven all day. Don't you hear? Can't you hear me praying? I need you to walk right by my side. When my heart gets cloudy, I need you. Every day will be Sunday, my Lord. Sabbath will have no end. We'll do nothing but sing and praise His holy name.
Good morning, good morning. Amen. Good to
When
see
He
you again.
says, sister, well done.
Three things have transpired since we met on last week. So we're just glad that you tuned in again to be with us.
Gonna
This
walk around
Amen. This time we want to pause our music and we're going to do a little commemoration to these civil rights heroes who have gone on. Amen. Amen. You stand here, you go make sure we all in the picture. Amen. Stand right there. Amen. So we're going to do a rendition of, in the civil rights movement. And let me first say good morning to my church family, my families and friends, and to all of you who are tuning in. We're going to take just a few moments just to do a tribute to my fraternity brother, the Distinguished Service Chapter brother, and the Honorable John Lewis, Congressman from the 5th District of Georgia. And I was a little boy, and my mom and folks would march around there in Ripley and Lauderdale County, and I would hear those old folks take those Christian songs, and because they used those songs because those songs were a common thread. They were something that everyone knew at that time, and they would use those songs to motivate themselves as they marched and walked alone. And one of those songs was, I woke up this morning with my mind, the song said, stayed on Jesus. And they would change the lyric and say, with my mind stayed on marching. And so we just want to do a little bit of that this morning, and then we will be on about our Father's business. And the song says, well, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on marching. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on marching. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on marching. Well, hallelujah,
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 well, hallelujah. Well, y'all are kneeling and praying with my mind
stayed on marching.
well, I'm kneeling and praying with my mind
stayed on marching.
well, I'm kneeling and praying with my mind
stayed
Well, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Well, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Well, hallelujah. Well, now walking and talking with my mind.
My mind stayed on marching.
Well, walking and talking with my mind.
My mind stayed on marching.
Just a walking and talking with my mind.
My mind stayed on marching.
Well, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Well, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Well, hallelujah. Amen. 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 Just want to give a tribute to the Honorable Congressman John Lewis and the Reverend C.T. Vivian. And what the three of us had in common was that we all were alums of what is called the Holy Hill, now called the American Baptist College. And in their day, it was the American Baptist Theological Seminary. And I've had the honor to sit in the presence of both of those men, and truly they were very impactful with the time they had on earth. We're going to get right to it, and we're not going to hold you long. But on today, I want you to journey with me over to 1 Timothy. In 1 Timothy, the 6th chapter. 1 Timothy, the 6th chapter. 1 Timothy, chapter 6. Got a little tongue twister going there this morning. 1 Timothy, chapter 6. And just a few verses, and then we will let you go this morning. I'm a little emotional about a few things that I had in common with Congressman, and I'm just grateful that God allowed such an individual to come this way, and that he allowed himself to be used by God to make a difference. Amen. Amen. So in 1 Timothy chapter 6, we'll start at verse 17. And this morning I'm reading from the King James Version. And in the King James Version, you will find these words. Charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy, that they may do good, that they be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate, laying up in store for themselves a good foundation against the time to come, that they may lay hold on eternal life. Amen. The word of God for the people of God, and let those people say amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. The story is told of two little boys who were good friends, and they were church buddies, and one little boy was well off and the other was not. And the little boy, whose parents were well off, had asked his friend, he said, man, how do you manage to just stay happy all the time amid all the struggle that it looks like to me that you and your family have from time to time? And his friend told him, so what are you doing Saturday? He said, I don't have nothing to do. He said, come go with me. And they went over to Widow Jones's yard, and they cut her yard. They got the weeds out of a flower bed. They made sure that her trash was set on the curb ready for pickup on Monday. And as they were walking back to their houses, he says, man, he said, you did all that work. I helped you with all that work. How much did you get? He said, well, she just gave me $25. He said, are you happy over that? He said, yeah. A few weekends later, he went over to his friend's house, and he was riding his new bike he had just bought. And the friend was like, well, how did you get this? He said, well, That's how I got it. Because Widow Jones and some of the other people in the neighborhood, they paid me and I helped them out, and they just give me a little money. I'm not trying to make a living off of it. I just help them out. And then his friend who got a pretty good allowance from his parents, and his parents were going to buy him a car, and he told his parents, don't buy me a car. He said, I want you to buy me a bicycle instead. He said, I want to be like my friend. And then one day they were sitting in Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher was talking to him, and he said to his friend, he said, friend, I finally understand. He said, I finally understand what's really making you so happy all the time. He said, I'm starting to feel it myself now. And he said, even though my parents are rich, he said, I'm starting to feel the richness that you feel. He said, because I understand now. He said, you're rich. You're rich. And you're rich because you are rich in helping others. And his friend said, well, I never thought about it like that. He said, but I'll accept that. And I want to talk to us today about being rich in helping others. See, if we were to take a moment and go down the list of accomplishments, John Lewis and C.T. Vivian, along the way, we would have to tell you they were jailed. One time they were jailed and they only had about 5 or 6 numbers different in the number that they were booked under. On other occasions, these men marched and stood up, either when others couldn't or others wouldn't. John Lewis famously said, as a very young person, he said on one occasion, and I remember those words, he said, if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? It was a statement to not only challenge himself, but to challenge the young, the old, the political apparatus, and those who were sitting on the sidelines of his time. He was trying to tell people that we got to get up and do something. And if you know John Lewis, if you ever met him, John Lewis will stop and recognize you and take time for you. On one occasion, we were on our way to Oklahoma. He was on his way back to D.C., and we were met up in the airport. And he took time. He stopped. Not only took a photo with us, but took photos with other folks. He was that kind of individual. Always a busy man, but never seemingly too busy to recognize somebody and talk to somebody. And when I think about that, you look at the life of Jesus. Jesus was like that. He would take time with a tax collector. He would take time to go on into a city and tell a man to come out of the sycamore tree. Zacharias, come out of there. I need to be at your house today. He would take time to be with Mary and Martha and their brother Lazarus, whom he called back from the dead. And what the world is suffering from now is people who don't want to take time because they don't want to be rich in helping others. Amen. See, too many people are becoming hoarders of the riches that God shared with all of us rather than helping others. Amen. Too many politicians don't take the time when they've had success in politics to reach back and pull somebody along and really help somebody. Mm-hmm. Too many times men and women of God become arrogant about the sacred deaths rather than pulling somebody along, making sure that somebody truly ready to step up when they have to step out. Amen. Too many times in life, you wonder why we have bad policemen, because when the policemen have a time to make an indelible mark on those junior officers, too many times they tell them, I know what you learned in the academy, but this is what we do in the streets. Amen. Too many times in America, people fail to pass on to the next generation. Too many mothers fail to tell their daughters that it's okay. It's okay if people talk about you because you decide to be a refined woman, a woman of good reputation, a woman who won't belittle herself by using foul words, a woman who won't allow herself to bend to the common callings that men sometimes call women. Too many boys have fallen into the trap of speaking ill words to women of all ages, because too many men have failed to tell them that's not the way to treat a woman.
Amen.
And when we think about these men who God has called off the journey, these were folks who lived their lives true to the words of letting that little light shine.
Amen.
True to the words that are found in Matthew's gospel. They let the light so shine that men will see and glorify our Father.
Amen.
Too many times we are failing to realize that if you really, really, really want to be rich in helping others. Too many people turn politics into a dog fight and say things about people that they don't have any real factual basis to say. Too many times in America, people think because a person has this color of skin that somehow their color of skin makes them better. And the last time I checked, if any of us stay in the sun too long, no matter our pigmentation, you will burn.
Amen.
Amen.
The little boy in the text was, the little boy in the story was excited that even though he had been blessed to be born into a family that had the riches of the world, he was excited to finally understand his friend's richness of helping others. On last Sunday, it was my intent, I think I may have not said it correctly, but last Sunday the sermon was, we were talking about who are the one another's that we should help. Who are the one another's that we should help. But this Sunday, I want you to just think about the fact that you need to be rich in helping others. And sometimes, and oftentimes, those others that you need to first impress are those folks right there close with you. Right there close with you is somebody that you need to help understand that, yes, if it were not for this pandemic, I'd get up on Sunday morning, I would go to church. Because down through my years, God has always been there with me. Down through my years when I had aches and pains, and I would call on the Lord and I would get an answer, and he would take those aches and pains away. Me and my family suffer from something we call the Barlow cramp. Some people call them Charlie horses or whatever. But a number of my family members can tell you that sometimes we get these cramps, whether in the hands, the foot, the leg, the belly, wherever, and they can just be real tough on us. And there are times these cramps get so bad, you have to call on the Lord to get it off you. And I stopped by to tell you that America is messing up. Because America, like the biblical story of Israel, is losing its way because it's not calling on the Lord. Not like it used to. There's a song that even says, we don't get in the spirit like we used to. The song even talk about the deacons sometimes, they don't pray like they used to. We don't even have church like we used to. Because people get upset, oh, you preach too long, preacher. I can't stay that long, but you don't have no problem tuning in to your favorite sitcom. You'll watch for a whole hour, even though you're getting on the 30 minutes of show. Because the commercial takes up the other 30 minutes. But you'll sit there and watch every episode of Scandal. You're not about to turn the TV. If Tyler Perry plays on, I like Tyler Perry. I'm not disparaging Tyler Perry. I'm not saying that. Because Tyler Perry's helped a lot of us. I'm just saying we'll tune in. We'll tune in even sometimes to the local news. And those of you that have cable news, you'll even flip channels. You won't just stay in sometime for 1 hour. You might even stay in 2 or 3. Back in the days when we watched soap operas all the time, wasn't nobody better than say a word.
That's right.
And all my children was on. Folk trying to see what's going to happen.
Amen.
Amen.
And you can't say a word. Nobody wanted you to move.
That's right.
General Hospital was on.
Right.
They may not have saved the soul in the whole episode, but you watched every minute.
Every minute.
But I'm trying to say to us today that it's time for us to get serious about the business of being rich and helping others.
Amen.
Now the text says this. The text says us this is Paul talking to Timothy. He's giving Timothy his final charge, and he's talking to him, an older pastor to a young pastor. And he tells him, he said, you got to charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded. See, sometimes when folk get a few O's behind they money, they start to act a certain way. Some of them even start to talk a little bit different. And some of them will carry themselves a little bit different. And they'll be all too excited to ride by your house and park in your yard their latest car that they've been able to afford, they just been able to purchase. And they don't mind having you over.
Amen.
And they make sure they put out the real nice glass. Then a lot of times you go to cookouts, you don't really want glassware anyway. You okay with a paper or plastic cup because you're eating in a hurry and you're setting stuff, and sometimes you're dropping stuff. But when you go to some folks' house, they roll out the fine stuff. And then you got to carry yourself a little differently because you're dealing with the fine stuff. And they do that to kind of leave an impression on you sometimes. And then sometimes we take the message wrong. Sometimes folk are just happy that God finally answered their prayer. Everybody in the big house is not stuck up.
Amen.
Everybody in the big house is not trying to look down on you. See, and one of the problems we have too many times, we take symbolism and do some bad things with it. And we black folk have a real bad problem, that crab in the barrel syndrome. Don't want to see anybody move up sometime.
Amen.
And God is in the business of moving people up. That's why we talk about as preachers, that he'll take you out the muck and the miry clay of life. That's what God will do. You can get yourself stuck in life, and God can get you unstuck.
Amen.
Stuck.
You see, you need to understand that Paul told me, look now, you got to help those people to understand. They don't need to be high-minded.
Amen.
They don't need to be high-minded. Because when you get high-minded, sometimes we have a saying that say sometimes you can get so heavenly bound that you won't be no earthly good.
Amen.
And it goes on to say, no trust in uncertain riches. And so right there, the first point. The first point is you gotta be careful about what you put your trust in.
Amen.
You can't put your trust in everything. You got to be careful about what you put your trust in. Because look at all these people that were trusting in them six-figure jobs, talking down to you, spending Rolexes on their arm, happy to show you their latest version of an Apple Watch. All too excited. You looking at them, what you got 2 watches on? No, that's one of these is my watch. That's my Apple. This is my Fitbit to go with it. All too excited to show you those kind of things. But as soon as you say that, oh, we're gonna go in a neighborhood where a lot of us used to live, we're gonna have to pick up the trash. Oh, I can't do that. I'll be busy.
Amen.
If you say to them that we're going to raise some money for our young fraternity brother that's struggling in undergrad, and we're going to try to make sure that he can finish up his final semester. Well, I just spent a lot of money on my timeshare, and I can't put any money on that. Those are the kind of things you hear. And that's why Paul told them, tell them don't be too high-minded. We got to watch trusting. Because look, when they trusted all them jobs, and look at a lot of them. Some of them are furloughed, some of them are fired, and some of them know they're not getting that job anymore.
Amen.
Amen.
But if you just kept on trusting in the Lord, the Lord would have told you like, oh, black folk, you got to learn how to make some money. You got to learn how to spend your money. You can't buy Rolexes all the time because the Bible tells us you might have 7 good years. Y'all remember Joseph's story? And then you'll have 7 bad years. And if you didn't spend all your money in the 7 good years, when the 7 bad years, you won't have no money to spend.
Amen.
You'll be in bad shape.
Amen.
Let me rush on. And then it says, but he told him you got to trust, but in the living God. See, he told him that, look, Paul told him, look, Timothy, you got to get these people to learn to trust in a living God. Because some of these people we deal with, they take their God around with them. Some people ride in their God. Some people live in their God.
Amen.
And Paul and Timothy will have you understand that's not the God you want.
Amen.
You want a living God. You want the God they sing about that sits high and look low.
Amen.
That's the God you want.
Amen.
You want the God that you can call him in the midnight hour and get an answer.
Amen.
You want the God that they say that he may not come when you want him, but he always right on time.
Amen.
That's the God you want. Listen to me now. Listen to me. Then he goes on to say, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. Paul said, please help them people understand. Whatever you have in life that you enjoy, God is giving it to you.
Amen.
There will be no children without the blessing of God.
Amen.
Amen.
Those of you mothers out there know what I'm talking about. It is some kind of process. We take it for granted because it happens every day, every minute, every hour. But we take for granted. But it is a real process to getting a child. on this earth.
Amen.
It takes a God, a living, loving God,
Amen.
to get a child on this earth. And then it bothers us parents so bad when those children be hard-headed and disobedient because we know
We know.
what we suffer through. Why couldn't you ever get sick about 5 in the evening, right after I eat dinner? Why you got to always get sick 2 and 3 in the morning? When dinner is wore off, breakfast is wore off, the snack is wore off. And I'm sitting in a hospital room, don't even know what a vending machine is. The cafeteria is closed. And here we are. And you're sitting and it bothers you because you say, why? You want to ask that question, why is this happening to me? But what you need to understand, God wants us all in the business of being rich
Amen.
and helping others.
Amen.
And you got to still lead those children hard-headed and all. I am firmly convinced that parenting is from the cradle to the grave.
Amen.
Until one of you die, it's always going to be a relationship. Good or bad, it's going to be a relationship.
Amen.
Then the text goes on to say that they do good, that they be rich in good works. See, that's the second point. You got to be rich in helping others.
Amen.
Rich in helping others. The text says that they do good and that they be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willingly to communicate.
Amen.
When I think about John Lewis and C.T. Vivian, they were willing to communicate. They were willing to talk to people about whatever was going wrong in life. They were willing to tell somebody, that's not right. And they didn't yell and fuss and cuss to do it. When I did my senior sermon at the American Baptist College, my sermon title was The Use of Discursive Language as a Defense for Religious Practice. You have to forgive me. I was in academia and I was talking to academia, so I had to raise my standard up a little bit. But that's just a big fancy word to say use plain speech. Plain speech.
Amen.
You ain't got to cuss nobody to get them to understand you. You don't always have to use the words of your discipline. You know, everybody doesn't understand when you say that someone had a myocardial infarction, but everybody will understand when you say you had a heart attack.
Amen.
See, and these are the kinds of things sometimes to get in the way of saving people. But you got to get busy about being rich and helping others.
Amen.
Then let me go on and close it out. And it says here, laying up in store for themselves a good foundation.
Good.
Everything and everybody needs a good foundation.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm not trying to ruin what my mom and daddy did for me. My daddy, and I'm going to say it this morning, with a 9th grade education, left a house and land. When he went on to glory, there was a house and land left. My mother eventually went on to finish her high school and got her GED. Was probably the most senior person that day in her graduation. It was always shocking to all of us. Here was my mother, who had never learned algebra, but taught herself algebra, and even taught algebra to some of us. And when it came her turn to finally take it for herself, she went right on through it.
Amen.
Without the formal teachings from others, she went right on through it.
Amen.
With God and a prayer, she made it through.
Amen.
Taught us many, many good things along the way. About relationship and family and helping others, about service. Stood up. Wasn't but 4'11". And I recall her one day telling the leadership in Lydale County that y'all gonna let these black folk work in these factories.
Amen.
And it wasn't long that after that, men and women in Haywood, Tipton, and Lydale County were coming out the fields and working in the factory. And I remember the same man telling my mama, we may have to let these black folks work in this factory, but you ain't never going to work in one. And all my family members worked in factories except my mama and I. And you probably can guess why. Because me and my mama had a mouth. And my daddy used to say, I can't let y'all come to the factory because y'all going to mess up all the good work that y'all done built up. Y'all going to mess it up. And so my mama and I just left the factory alone. We did other things. But I'm trying to tell you, you got to be busy. And get busy in the business of work, helping others.
Amen.
Nixon signed the legislation to create the CETA program, the Comprehensive Training Act the Comprehensive Employment Training Act. Jimmy Carter used it years later and really employed a lot of young people, and I was one of them. And I started out as a peer counselor with little boys. I was 14, and little boys had to be 12 and under, and I was their peer counselor. And then I was also their water safety instructor. And I was teaching them how to swim. And so what I'm telling you that I got started early in life on this journey of being rich and helping others. And I recall one day working in the youth home, a little boy, I was walking to my dorm, and a little boy called me, Mr. Barlow, Mr. Barlow. And I turned around, so whoever called me like that got to know me. And I turned around, and there was a little boy who had been in my class. And he said, yeah, you know, I shouldn't be up here. And you know, I ain't going to call his last name. I shouldn't be up here, but I'm up here. He said, but now that I see you, I know I'm going to be all right. I said, yeah, you're going to be all right. I said, because you don't want me to have to call your mama or your grandmama. Whatever you done, you're going to get through this. I got him out of there. Some of the little boys will come back. That little boy never came back again. And I'm glad of that. What I'm trying to tell you, you got to get busy about being rich and helping others. And finally, let me say to you, it goes on to say, against the time to come that they may lay hold on eternal life. And my final point is this. The reason why you want to get busy about being rich and helping others is because you want to one day get your feet on God Gold Street. Amen. And my third point is, if you really want to make it to eternity, make sure that on your way and on your time on this earth, that you help someone else along their way. I'm trying to tell you, Jesus was minding his own business when he decided to give up a throne and glory to come down through 42 generations to meet justice on Calvary's hill. Amen. Jesus was doing all right where he was. But he gave up all the splendor of heaven to come down and meet justice on Calvary's hill, to die for you and I. That one day when it's all said and done, Jesus could have as a part of his reputation that he didn't mind being rich and helping others, because he helped the whole of humanity when he died from the 6th to the 9th hour. They put him in a borrowed man tomb. But I'm glad to tell you, the grave and death couldn't hold him, because bright early Sunday morning he got up for you and I. And I'm glad to tell somebody that he caught a cloud ride home 40 days later. And he's there right now on the right hand of God, ready to help us anytime we get stuck in the miry clay of life. I'm coming by to tell somebody, you need to be rich in helping others. Rich in helping others. Until this time next week, just know it's going to be all right. And again, certainly the African American community, America, the world, certainly in this moment, shed a tear. Al Sharpton said, another fraternity brother of mine, he said that just maybe Congressman Lewis and Reverend Vivian decided to just join hands and go see the old buddy Martin Luther King. So Martin, it took a little longer getting here than you, but we finally made it here. I don't know, but what I do know, that one of these mornings, that's my goal too, to walk around here. See, right by my side, that's what we need the Lord to do. See, and let me just tell you, God is in the blessing business, and don't let nobody tell you that it's not. Whatever struggles you're going through, yeah, COVID is rough, but God can keep us from COVID, especially if we do the simple things, the right things that people are asking us to do. So you can't just jump out on blind faith and say, God, keep me from it, and you won't even wear a mask never. Because to me, you're trying God. You're not asking God for help, then you're trying God. And the Sabbath don't have no end. So let me tell you, I just thank God for all he's done and for all he's continuing to do. Until this time next week, just tell somebody, even during COVID-19, be rich in helping others. Understand? Here's this word. I want you to hear this last little bit of this song. Walk around heaven. Walk around heaven. Yes. Get to work. Because we all want to walk around heaven. from heaven. Don't know when I'm going to get there. Yes, yes, yes. We don't own the rights to this song. Miss Pat LaBelle is helping us out this morning. Yes, yes, yes. We walk around heaven.
Walk around heaven.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
Oh,
day,
oh.